Hello there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before we get started on our card, I wanted to show you the pumpkins that my mom and I had made. Some of you had asked what the end result was, and here they are. So mine are the darker red ones with the white pumpkin, and then my mom's were the 3 orange ones. I think they turned out so fun. All right, let's go ahead and get started on the card. So we are going to work on an alcohol background. I love doing backgrounds like this, and I did one recently, and so I just wanted to pull out my colors again. So I'm starting off with some matte Yupo paper, so it isn't glossy looking, and I've taken all the caps off of the colors that I plan to use, and I've put down just a little bit of that alcohol blending solution, and I'm starting off on the top with some purple Twilight and some pink Sherbet, and I am using a marker spritzer to kind of manipulate those colors and move them around. Got a little heavy-handed with the purple, but I ended up really liking that and wanting that. It kind of covered up that pink, so I'm going to bring in a little bit more of that pink and just keep moving it with the marker spritzer. And where I want some more deeper coloring, some more darker veining, I'll put down some more purple and move that around to kind of get the look that I'm looking for. A little disclosure, of course, if you're working with alcohol inks, definitely do it in a well-ventilated area. And you may want to use gloves to protect your hands, but I typically don't have a problem. I don't get too messy with it in my hands. Sometimes, very rarely I do, but not that often. All right, next color that I used was the Honeycomb color, and then I'm bringing in a little bit more of the alcohol blending solution along with some more of that pink Sherbet. And then it kind of lightened up more of that purple, so I'm going to bring some more of that down, and I'm just loving the deep veining that we're getting. Just adding a little bit more pink Sherbet. So that's the thing with this. You just can keep adding color and keep moving it around until you end up happy with the results. What I love about alcohol inks is that they end up pushing the color that's by them away. So when you put something down, like I just put down some Teakwood and some rust, they're going to mingle together and they're going to push that honeycomb away. There will remain some of that honeycomb underneath, but they do push some of it just up, because that's why I'm using that marker spritzer to kind of get those colors moving up that direction. Adding more blender solution, little more rust, little more honeycomb, and this is turning out to be a gorgeous, almost like a fall sunset, I suppose. It's abstract, obviously, but I like it. I like it a lot. And if you're wondering how I chose these colors, I actually went to Pinterest. As I've told you guys many times before, if you are hurting for ideas, head to Pinterest and look up color combos, and you will be bombarded with so many amazing color choices. All right, I'm never very successful with this, but I did decide to pull out some of my Deco foil in the color copper, and it's not working. I find it works in a few spots down here where it's still obviously a little bit wet, but the key is trying to find out where it's not too wet so that it pulls the color up and leaves the copper down. So I did end up getting some of it on some of that deeper veining. I don't ever end up getting a good, it never really works if I just use alcohol, like isopropyl alcohol, but it will work if I use the blending solution. There's a resin in there that grabs it. Moving on to our stamping, I have grabbed the stamp set called Happy Hedgehogs. Love this stamp set. And I'm going to do some alcohol marker coloring. So I am stamping that down with Memento Tuxedo black ink onto some Express It cardstock. And I'm using my mini Misti because I do want to stamp it more than once to make sure that I have a good crisp image. And then when I pull that out, we're going to get ready to start coloring. Now I do have an actual favorite color combo to color hedgehogs. Yes, I do. I know it sounds funny. I will start off with some warm grays. I'll start with warm, W1. Then I'm going to put down some W5. And this I'm just using, and I'm really trying to make it look like he has spikes, because clearly a hedgehog has a lot of texture in their hair, or whatever you want, their quills, whatever you want to call them. I'm going over the top of that with some C3, which is a cool gray, bringing back in the W1. I just like how the cool gray kind of brings out just a little bit of coolness to that warmth. And then I'm going to let that kind of dry before I come back in with a little bit more of the W5 to really define a few more of the quills. So I'll show you again. I'm putting down a base of the W1, coming in with the W5 and trying to make it look like little quills, like those actually have some texture to them. And then I'll come in with the C3 to add in a little bit of coolness to it, and then come back in again with the W1, and then I'll try to define those spikes a little bit better with the W5. And I think they're starting to look really, really cute here. It is definitely fun to kind of play around with colors and see what you like and what gives you the combo you're looking for. For his skin, I have an interesting combo. I've got E00. Well, it's not that interesting, and I know it's nothing new. So I'll start with the E00, and then I'm going to bring in a blue violet. So I'll bring in this blue violet, and it seems kind of funny to put it down because you're thinking, why would you put down some blue violet? But it does add this undertone to it that seems not realistic because obviously these are, cartoon critters, but it is a neat look to it. And I got a little heavy-handed on my bigger hedgehog, but it works out to bring that E11 in and kind of, soften that out just a little bit. And then once again, come back in with your E00 to soften that out even more. And then it's starting to look a little bit better. And then I'll show you again with my other little hedgehog. Just do a little bit, even at the ends, using flicking motions so that it kind of really fades out. And then I'll bring in my E11, doing flicking motions with that as well, and then bring in the E00 to soften all of that out. And then they're done. For my tree trunk, I'm going to use some E99, and typically I would usually worry a little bit about having some marker lines, but this is a tree trunk, so I want it to actually look like bark. So I'll use the E37, and I'll use flicking motions with that, kind of coming into the center, just trying to make it look like it has a lot of texture to the bark. And I did forget to color the leaf. I'd color it later, but it gets covered up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. My card base is some Not Your Mama's cardstock, heavyweight cardstock from Brutus Monroe, and I had cut that down to 5.5 by 8.5 and then scored it at 4.25, so it's a side folder. And I want to use every ounce of that background just because I love it. So I'm trimming off just a very little bit of it. So now this is going to be 4 inches by 5.5, and then I'm going to stamp my sentiment now. So I'm putting this into my mini Misti, inking it up, and I'm going to stamp it a couple times to make sure that I have a good crisp sentiment there. And then I'm going to trim that down. I'll trim off a little bit off the top, and then I will trim right up along that edge using my Fiskars wire trimmer. And I do have to agree with people that say that those blades go dull fast. They really do, and it's kind of annoying. All right, just using some liquid glue, Tombow Mono Multi, and then I'm going to attach this to my card base, leaving a white border all along that left-hand side. So it's going to be flush up against the right-hand side. And then I'm going to take that tiny little scrap because I can't bear to waste any of it. I'll put a little bit of the liquid glue on the back of that. And then I'm going to just put that down on the inside. So this is a fun way to decorate the insides of your cards, using up some of those scraps that you have. I will stamp my sentiment next. So I'm going to grab the You Can Always Lean on Me. I thought that was just fun. I'm going to ink that up with some more black ink right there into the center. Should have used my Misti, but meh, it's fine. And then I've backed all of my images and my sentiment with some foam tape. So I'll pull off that release paper and try to line that up on my glass mat, trying to get things straight. And then I'll peel off all the backing paper off of my trunk and my little hedgehogs. I love this set. It's just definitely one of my favorites. I'll put the big guy down first, and then I'll peel off the backing paper of the little guy and place him down. And then, of course, for a final bit of embellishment, because I'm absolutely obsessed with Nouveau drops right now, I am putting some shimmering rose where the pink is, and I'm going to grab some Lilac Whisper. This is a glitter stock, it's a glitter drop. And then right on that yellow, I'm going to put some mustard gold, just a couple of them, and then I'm going to tap those down on top of a container to try and get those to look a little bit more like enamel dots so they flatten out just a little bit. And then that's going to finish off this card. So I'd love to know what you think. And if you haven't delved into alcohol yet, like the alcohol backgrounds, why not? Oh my goodness, they're so fun. But yeah, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by.